How's it going, everybody? So today I want to talk about Crystal Lake, a show that was announced nearly 2 years ago that is supposedly, even still supposedly, going to be a Friday the 13th prequel series. Now, when I heard about this, I remember exactly where I was, exactly what was going on, and the exact reaction I had to it with the, only really hearing that it was announced that they were going to be doing this. It was literally, kids were out trick-or-treating. Me and my wife were sitting out in our driveway with a table. I got my soundtrack playing in the background with all my favorite Halloween music, and kids are coming up to the table, and I'm reading on my phone that Peacock announces a Crystal Lake show, a Friday the 13th prequel series in development, and immediately my brain is thinking, here we go. All right. They've been doing an all right job with some of the shows lately. I mean, I was a massive fan of Bates Motel when that first aired, seeing the way Farmiga there, Vera, with her in The Conjuring. I think her as Norma Bates was spectacular. A little, what's his name there? I can't think of his name. I can't think of the actor's name, but that kid is a young Norman Bates was pretty damn good. Was all right with some of the little side stories they told, Norman's brother and all this and that, and I was all right with it. It was a very good way to set that up. I'm very, very passionate about the Psycho franchise, especially that first movie. I really, really liked that show, and I'm an avid Child's Play fan. The Chucky show, that series has been hit or miss for me. I mean, I fucking loved that first season, was really, really on board with it. Thinking, all right, what are they going to do to mess this up? And the worst possible thing they could have done was done. And season 2 was literally just a sequel to Seed of Chucky. Now, if you like that movie, I'm sorry, that's on you. It's just my opinion. Seed of Chucky is the worst adaptation of Child's Play. Chucky at his absolute worst, in my opinion. So that was not my cup of tea. Season 3, Chucky in the White House, all this and that, and it's been kind of a fun little roller coaster ride. Whatever, I'm all right with it. But when they announce Crystal Lake prequel, Friday the 13th, what could they do with that? I want to talk today about what I want to see from this series, if and when it happens. I'm at the point now where I'll believe it when I see it. I was excited with the whole Brian Fuller thing, and then him backing out, and then this and that. It's all up in the air. I'm still not entirely sure what's really going to happen. Only time will tell, and when it actually happens is when I'll believe it. But I'm just, this is completely just on a whim here of me thinking, what do I want to see? Now, if you've watched some of my past videos, especially my Friday the 13th ranking video, where I rank every movie in the franchise, you probably know that I'm more of a purist. I'm a horror purist. I'm a Friday the 13th purist. Yes, I love Jason Voorhees, but the original Friday the 13th is my favorite movie in the franchise. Not necessarily for obvious reasons, because most people prefer Hockey Mask Jason. I love Sackhead Jason. I love Hockey Mask Jason as well, but I love the Sack, and I love Pamela Voorhees. I love it all, Not all, because the later half of the Friday the 13th franchise, not my cup of tea. It's fun to make fun of it, but those aren't my favorite movies for a lot of reasons. But if we get this, and it really is truly a prequel, and we get like a lead up to the original movie, where like I don't know, we get to see what drove Pamela to become so crazy. We get to see Jason's development before he drowned, if you believe he really drowned or not, and this and that. It'd be kind of interesting to see, what caused Pamela to break, and was Jason bullied as a young child? What happened? What caused it all? How did they go end up at Crystal Lake? How did Pamela Voorhees become the cook? Is there stuff with the Christies? I want to see like a lead up to the original movie. But like that doesn't have to be all of it. We can, we I don't want to just get Jason right off the bat. I don't want to just get hockey mask Jason killing everybody right off the bat. How do I want to say this? I want to get to that where I'm every episode I'm waiting to get to that point. I'm hungry and hungry for more. You know what I mean? That's what it was like for me with Bates Motel. I mean, it went over 5 seasons of it just slowly progressing to Norman just hitting that spot, and it was just a very, very good way of it just the story progressing. And I think it could do the same thing for Friday the 13th. There's so many things that I do and do not want to see, but I don't want this to just be what the casual fan wants. And if I say the casual fan, most casual fans just want to see Jason at the camp killing kids having sex. I am certainly okay with that, but I want to know, how did Jason become? I want to know more of it. Not his backstory. We all know that, but it's how it all happened. Like I said, was Jason bullied? Is that what caused Pamela to become a psycho? It would be very, very interesting to see it from that perspective, not just what we saw in every movie. You know what I mean? That first movie, in my opinion, gets shit on way too much just because of the no Jason and no real clues to who the killer was, and this and that, and Alice not being the greatest final girl compared to, in my opinion, Ginny, who's the best in the franchise. And it is what it is. But I don't want them to rush this. I don't care if it takes another 2 years for it to really get up off the ground and happen, as long as it's done right. And I mean, I know I'm not the first person to say this, but I've been thinking, just imagine Mia Goth as Pamela Voorhees. Now, Mia Goth, I mean, has just become her own little scream queen. I mean, we got the X trilogy. I mean, I was there day one for Maxine. I was pumped and ready to rumble. Love it. But I mean, I've seen her in other films like Infinity Pool and Marrowbone and so on and so forth. There's been some other crazy roles she's been in. She's really carving out a name for herself, and I could just imagine her as Pamela Voorhees. Like, holy shit. I don't really, I don't know who I'd want to see play little young Jason, and is Jason going to be like deformed like he was, when he was jumping out of the lake, pulling Alice down from the canoe? Are we going to see something like that? Or are we going to see, maybe just a slightly disabled boy who gets picked on and has an accident where he drowns and then the mother goes crazy? I mean, I'm okay with that, but I want to see the development of, maybe they come to Crystal Lake and, she's a single mother. I don't need to hear anything about Elias Voorhees and all this drama that we heard about in the mid to late 80s. And I'm not thinking along those lines. I'm just thinking, Pamela, the single mother kind of thing. And then what could happen with her little boy and, seeing how Jason became Jason. And, have it lead up to, him drowning and then coming back years later. Pamela's still alive out there. She does exactly what happened. We have that massacre at the camp where everybody gets it, but they never capture her. They never know who did it. There was no technology back then to find out who or what, did this crazy act and this massacre at the camp. They didn't have DNA tests and the samples back then to really track down who the killer really was, and she just got off scotch-free. And then we have Jason coming back years later. But I want it to be that transition. I'd love to see a modern day look of Sackhead Jason. Now, I am not the biggest fan of the Friday the 13th remake from '09, but out of the big three, I'd say between Halloween, Rob Zombie's Halloween, Friday the 13th, and the Elm Street remake, Friday the 13th is by far my favorite out of the three. It's not my favorite, not a big fan of it, but if I had to pick one, that one easily gets it for me. And Sackhead Jason in that film, for the slight bit we did get him, the first 20 minutes of that film were amazing. It looked pretty awesome. It was kind of like, that old Town That Dreaded Sundown ripoff kind of thing. That's what a lot of people compare Sackhead Jason to, but I don't. I think that whole burlap sack thing is pretty cool and very, very overlooked. Friday the 13th Part 2 is my one of my favorite horror movies of all time. I really, Ginny, Amy Steele, one of the greatest Final Girls of all time. If you haven't seen my Final Girls ranking video, watch that as soon as you're done with this. She's in there. You can't go wrong with Ginny. But it'd be cool to see, Jason going from a little boy drowning, then coming back and being that hillbilly sackhead Jason, and then getting to the mask. Having that first season like end with Jason drowning as a little boy, and then a season 2 picking up, where is he? Is he dead? Is he alive? What's going on? And then we see some murders start to happen at the camp, and it's revealed to be Jason Voorhees, but he's got the sackhead look. That'd be awesome. I'm totally down with that. We don't want this thing to stretch out so long where like every season's a little bit of a redo, remake of every movie. We don't need to see that. Maybe like the first 4 movies, something like that, because that's like in a perfect little bow. You know what I mean? You start it with the original and you end it with the final chapter kind of thing. I don't think we need to have a Tommy Jarvis in there, beating the shit out of Jason, die, die, die. But like, you could do something along those lines. It doesn't have to be Tommy Jarvis. Make it your own, make it original. That'd be cool. I'm all right with that. But like I said, I'm doing this on the whim. I'm thinking of this just instinctively, on purpose, instinctively what's in my brain right now as I'm sitting here talking to you guys. I think it's, I'm going to get the most honest answers out of myself doing it that way, because I don't have time to think about it and prepare and this and that, because I'm very emotionally attached. They can't screw this up. They have to do it right. But at the same time, if they just like did one episode of little boy Jason drowning, and then in the next episode it's automatically hockey mask Jason going around doing his thing, I guess I wouldn't be surprised, because that's what most people want to see, I guess. But I know there are plenty of hardcore, passionate fans like myself out there that would love to see it play out in a slow burn where we build up to that. And that's honestly what I want to see. And I want to see, they could do something, they could make some people out of this, bring in a new Final Girl. I mean, I could think of one particular person off the top of my head that I would really think would thrive, and that is Sadie Sink, Mad Max from Stranger Things. I'm not the first person to think of this. A couple of years back, I know Mr. Dave McRae, Dave and Tony, two dudes and some bullshit, they thought of this, and I'm sitting there watching live, and I'm like, they were talking about it a couple of years ago when it was announced that it would be epic to see that, because she's really blossoming, and she's done some cool little projects. Stranger Things hopefully just wraps up sooner rather than later, because for God's sakes, they're not kids anymore. They're freaking all 20 plus years old and getting married and getting on with their lives. It's unbelievable anymore. Let's get it wrapped up and move on to new things. And I think that would be an awesome thing for her to move on to. I mean, I've seen her in the Fear Street trilogy. It was awesome. And I think she would be pretty fit in that role of a Friday the 13th Final Girl. I think that would be very, very interesting. I really, really would like to see that. I think it'd be awesome. But I mean, so it's like those are some things I do and do not want to see the way I want it all to happen. I get it. I get that I'm one of a few that wants it to kind of be this way because everybody just wants Hockey Mac Jason. Everybody just wants Hockey Mask Jason and things like that right away. I'm like, no, we gotta. If it's a prequel, we gotta go back and tell the origins of how it all really happened, and that's what we've got to do with this. And I get really over emotional. I get in a lot of arguments, stupid arguments with people about this when it, because I run across a lot of casual fans who just want Jason. Fuck it, if it's not Jason. Oh, well, okay. And I have to be more understanding of that because, not everybody just leans towards that first half of the franchise like I do. There's a lot of huge Kane Hodder fans out there. And that's one thing I don't want to see. No offense to the man. He heard nothing but good things about him. He's a living legend, but we don't need Kane Hodder in any sort of significant role in this series. I get it. To a lot of fans out there, he is Jason Voorhees. Personally, Richard Brooker is my all-time favorite. Richard Brooker and Ted White are just, 1A and 1B, even Steve Dash, Sackhead Jason. But, the original Jason Voorhees, those actors are definitely my go-tos because that's the Jason Voorhees that I found scary. Kane Hodder's got way too zombified, way too quick, and with the heavy breathing and everything, and with the New Blood only being the real decent, in my opinion, decent film that Kane Hodder did. It's not his fault. It's, the script he was given. It's the movie they wrote. Not his fault, but if I just don't want to see him in any sort of significant role. It'd be kind of cool because I was hearing that they were going to have Adrienne King back for this. Alice. That would be kind of cool as long as she's not playing Alice. Have her in some sort of little side character role or whatever for fans like me and hopefully you that would appreciate something like that. And I'd love to see Amy Steele back in there. She don't have to be Ginny, but she could be something. Do something cool there. And it'd be the same thing with Kane Hodder. It'd be a great little nod to the fans, but we don't need to see him as a Jason Voorhees. He's too old. He's in his mid to late 60s now, I think, and he's just, got it no more. It is what it is. That's just how I personally feel. If you feel otherwise, that's fine. That's okay. And something else, probably most important to me, one thing that I have to see, the thing that would just automatically put a smile on my face is I want to see a young, crazy Ralph. The actor Walt Gordy or whatever his name is, he's been dead for a little while now. He's surely passed away, but to see somebody portray that character would be phenomenally amazing. Because he was such a pivotal part of those first two films, and it was just a blast. And to see somebody portray him in a young form and see, before there was a death curse and all this and that, it'd be very, very interesting. As well as to see Pamela Voorhees' relationship and development with the Christies. I would like to see how that all unfolded and what really was the way it all happened. So those are just a few things. Like I said, I could sit here for hours and talk and think about what I do and do not want to see. Like I said, I purposely am doing this on a whim. Just thinking about it like right now in the moment. Because there's so many big details, but I wanted to just come out some big points and how it's like they can space this out and do it right. It's just whoever's really behind the scenes, really in control of this, it's up to them. But as long as they give all the fans a little bit of what they want, I'm sure they can deliver something promising. But we'll see if it really actually happens, when it happens, and just pray to God it just does not put a damper or any more of a wound into the Friday the 13th franchise that's already been in there, because the bleeding has been going on for a long, long time now. I could easily say the last 30 years that Friday the 13th has just been gushing blood, bleeding, and not doing too well. Like I said, I am not a big fan of... I am a hater of Jason Goes to Hell, not a big fan of Jason X. As a kid, I was, obviously, oh, cool, Freddy versus Jason, all right. But I'm like, what the heck is this? It was fun, but it didn't do any favors for the franchise. And overall, I do think I appreciate the '09 remake a little more than I did 15 years ago, but it still just did not nail it enough for me. It could have done better. I wish it did, and this show they have a chance to right the wrong. They have a chance to really get things back on track. Just don't rush it. Just take your time and do it right, and give us what we need to be given to make it proper. And if you guys have any ideas of what you want to see or what you don't want to see, what you think would be cool, if you even think it's gonna happen, who knows? At this point, really, who does know? But let me know down in the comments below if you're excited for the potential happening of Crystal Lake, and what you want to see, and what you think would be interesting, and what your favorite Friday the 13th movies are, what you do and do not like about the franchise. Who's your favorite Jason? Are you more of a fan of Tommy Jarvis? Are you more of a fan of Ginny? I mean, for God's sakes, you could be a fan of Pam from Part 5, or Trish, or whoever, you know what I mean? Even Rennie, for God's sakes, I don't know. Or even that like cyborg thing with the head from Jason X, for God's sakes. She just survived with her head, last I remember. Just, feel free to let me know. We're just here to have fun and just have random little discussions on horror topics. And I know this has been one that I've been chewing on for 2 years now, waiting and waiting and waiting. We haven't gotten anything. I'm still hoping for the best. So, we'll all just stay strong together and see what we get. But until next time, take it easy, everybody. See you later.